I was 92 years old when I was truly born. I know that sounds strange. How can someone be born at 92? But everything before that, the 92 years I spent on this earth, was not real life. It was darkness. It was emptiness. It was me wandering through the world, looking for something I could never name. My name is Georgette Lepaulle, and I come from a small town called Berchem in Belgium. I grew up in a home that had no warmth, no love, no softness. By the time I was 5 years old, I had already smoked my first cigarette. 5, a little girl, putting a cigarette to her lips because no one cared enough to stop her. By 7, I had my first glass of alcohol, and from that moment, drinking became the only way I knew how to survive. I was raised Catholic. I was baptized, sent to the nuns at school, sat in church every Sunday. But God, I never felt Him, not once. Religion was something I did, not something I believed. It was routine, cold, empty, just like everything else in my life. When I was young, I worked as a maid for a Jewish family. I cleaned their house, cooked their meals, watched how they lived. I saw their traditions, their rituals. But even then, nothing moved me. Nothing made me feel that there was something bigger than this painful world. Then I fell in love. He was an Italian man, a fighter pilot, handsome, brave. We married in the church, and for a brief moment, I thought maybe life could be beautiful. Maybe this was what happiness felt like. But the war took him from me. He was killed. Just like that, gone. And I was left alone, holding on to a memory that would haunt me for the rest of my life. That is when I started drinking half a bottle of wine every single day. It was the only thing that made the pain quiet. I married again, another man, another chance. But death came for him too. I buried my second husband, and this time I did not cry. I think I had run out of tears. I had run out of hope. I told myself, this is life. You are born, you suffer, and you die. There is nothing more. Years passed, decades. I grew older, and the world grew colder. My own daughter, my flesh and blood, decided that I was too old, too much of a burden. She wanted to put me in a nursing home, a place where they send you to be forgotten, a place where you sit in a chair by the window and wait to die. My own child wanted to throw me away like I meant nothing. But then something happened, something I never expected. My neighbor, Muhammad Maddah, a Moroccan man who had lived next door to me for over 40 years, he stood up. He said, "No, she will not go to any nursing home. She will come and live with us, with my family." 40 years. This man had been my neighbor for 40 years. His wife knew me. His son and 2 daughters had grown up seeing me every day. I was not a stranger to them. But what he did, taking me into his home when my own family abandoned me, that was something I had never experienced in 92 years of living. Muhammad had just lost his own mother, and here I was, an old Belgian woman with no one left in the world. He told me later that when he looked at me, he saw his mother. He could not let me be thrown away. I moved into their home, and that is when my eyes opened for the very first time. I saw this family pray together. 5 times a day they would stop everything, their work, their cooking, their conversations, and they would stand together before God. I had never seen anything like it. In my Catholic life, we went to church once a week, and even then, most people were just going through the motions. But these people, they meant it. Every word, every movement, every tear. I saw how they treated each other. The husband spoke to his wife with respect. The children kissed their parents' hands. When they ate together. When one of them was sad, the whole family gathered around. This was not just a family. This was love, real love, the kind I had been searching for my entire life without knowing it. It was so different from my cold family, so different from everything I had ever known. I would sit in the corner and watch them, and something inside me would break a little more each day, but not in a painful way. It was breaking open, like a wall that had been built around my heart for 92 years, was finally crumbling. Then came the summer. Muhammad's family was going to Morocco to visit relatives, and they asked me to come with them. Me, a 92-year-old Belgian woman who had never left Europe, going to Morocco. I said yes. It happened to be Ramadan, the month when Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset. I knew what fasting was from my Catholic days, but this was different. This was not just about food. These people were fasting with their hearts. They were praying more, giving more, loving more. The entire country was alive with something I could not explain. The streets smelled of food at sunset. Families gathered. Strangers smiled at each other. There was a warmth in the air that I had never felt anywhere in Europe. I decided to fast with them. No one asked me to. No one pressured me. I just felt like I had to. And on the first day when the sun set and we broke our fast together, dates, water, soup, I felt something I had never felt before in my life, a presence, a closeness, something so powerful that it made me tremble. It was Allah. For the first time in 92 years, I felt God, not the distant, silent God I had heard about in church, not the God of rituals and routines. This was a God who was close, who was listening, who was real. I was shocked at myself. How could this happen now, at my age? After everything I had been through, the loss, the alcohol, the cigarettes, the loneliness, the betrayal, how could I suddenly feel something so beautiful? I started to pray, not the prayers I had memorized as a child in the Catholic Church, real prayers. I spoke to Allah like I was speaking to someone who truly cared. And I asked him for two things, just two. I asked him to heal my friend who was very sick. And I asked him to save a young boy I knew who was going down a bad path in life. Both of my prayers were answered. My friend recovered, the boy changed his ways, and I knew with every fiber of my 92-year-old body that this was real. This was not coincidence. This was not luck. This was Allah showing me that He had been there all along, waiting for me to turn to Him. I went to Muhammad and told him, I want to become Muslim. They prepared everything. The women came and washed me completely. A ritual bath, they called it, a purification. And as the water poured over my old skin, I felt like I was being washed clean of 92 years of pain, 92 years of emptiness, 92 years of searching. Then I said the words, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. The moment those words left my lips, the women around me began to cry. They kissed me on my cheeks, on my forehead, on my hands. They held me and told me I was their sister now. I had never been kissed so much in my entire life. Never. Not by my own family. Not by my husband's. Not by my daughter. These women, these strangers who became my family, they loved me more in that one moment than anyone had loved me in 92 years. I chose a new name for myself, Noor al-Islam. It means the light of Islam, because that is exactly what happened to me. After 92 years of darkness, I finally found the light. I had to give up things. The wine, gone. I had been drinking for over 80 years, but I put the bottle down and never looked back. The cigarettes. I had already quit those at 78, but now I understood why. Allah was preparing me. Even the makeup, I used to put it on in thick layers, trying to cover up the emptiness on my face. But I did not need it anymore. My face was glowing with something makeup could never give. When I returned to Belgium, I went to the Grand Mosque of Brussels to get my certificate. They recorded my conversion, and then they did something extraordinary. They contacted the mosque in Mecca. The officials there searched their archives, every record they had, and they could not find a single convert older than me. I was the oldest person in the world to embrace Islam. The news reached the king of Saudi Arabia himself. He sent a personal envoy all the way to my little town of Berchem. They brought me a golden watch, a gift from the king, and an invitation. He wanted me to come to Mecca, to perform Hajj, the pilgrimage, at his personal expense, everything paid for. The Saudi television would follow my journey. I went to Mecca. I stood there in the holiest place on earth, at 92 years old, and I wept. I wept for all the years I had wasted. I wept for the girl who smoked at 5 and drank at 7 because no one loved her. I wept for the woman who buried 2 husbands and was abandoned by her own child. But most of all, I wept out of gratitude, because Allah did not give up on me, even when I had given up on myself. After Hajj, I was invited to the Sharqiya region in Saudi Arabia. 300 women gathered in a hall to hear my story. When I finished speaking, there was not a single dry eye. 300 women crying for me, an old Belgian woman who found God at 92. But not everyone was happy. My daughter, 72 years old, she stopped speaking to me. When she heard I became Muslim, she cut me off. My own child, the same one who wanted to put me in a nursing home. She could not accept that her mother had found peace in Islam. It hurts. I will not lie. It hurts deeply. But I know something she does not know yet. I know that Allah's love is greater than any human love. I know that the family He gave me, Muhammad, his wife, his children, the women at the mosque, they are my real family. They are the ones who saved me. People ask me, do you regret waiting so long? Do you wish you had found Islam earlier? And I tell them, Allah has His plan. He brought me to Islam at exactly the right moment, not a second too early, not a second too late. My real birth took place in 2010, when I was 92 years old. Everything before that was just preparation. I am Noor al-Islam, and for the first time in my life, I am truly alive.